All right, we might get started. There'll be a few more joining in a little bit, but obviously we've got Tim Levy from Our Zone, who's been well and truly under the pump with the shutdowns affecting their company in a good way. So I'll throw it over to you to go through the story, and any questions throughout, please just type them through, as people have already done. But thanks very much for joining, Tim. Go for it.
Thanks, mate. Thanks, Alan. Okay, look, and thanks NWR for organising this in very difficult and strange circumstances. I hope everyone's well and safe. Let me get into it. Yeah, my first online presentation. So, and as mentioned, it's been a pretty remarkable time for us. And one of the key things I'd like to do in this session is talk about the coronavirus pandemic and the implications on our business and our industry more broadly, and what it means for the company in the short and the medium term. I'm sure many people have got questions around that, so that's really my focus for the session. But before I get into that, a brief background. So positioning the company, as everyone knows, we're a cyber safety company. Our emphasis is trying to solve the solutions for schools and more broadly the school community. We provide compliance solutions schools and use as avenues for engaged parents. We provide solutions for the entire school system. We find, and we've found through the last 3 years, that you get better outcomes by involving parents and kids in these cyber safety programs. And so that's really our key difference. We've got technology and approach to business is fundamentally different from all of our competitors because of that focus on the collaboration between schools. As of today, over 1,300 schools, over $6 million of recurring revenue, and over 700,000 users of the system every single day. I think investors would like to see this graph on the right, which shows the kind of meteoric ride. Now it's off a small base, but you can see very clearly here the growth in our business in the US, and the US is now very much our focus, making sure that we've got a fantastic offer for schools, and a model of engaging with the parents through those schools in the coming months. So that for me is super exciting. The other thing in this slide that's super exciting for me is on the top right hand side, can take up. So what we're finding in Australian and New Zealand schools is those schools that are promoting family zone are getting high take up. And that's the opportunity of the US market. I'll talk more about that in a second. Just again, for those that have forgotten or aren't that familiar with the story, this is our business model. It's a little bit complex, but essentially what we do is there's 3 layers to this business. We've got the compliance layer, which is offering filtering to a school. We put technology in the school's network. We put technology on a student's learning device, and then that enables the next layer.
Sorry, Tim. Sorry to interrupt, Tim. If you just press stop video, I think your bandwidth's just a bit small. So you just press stop video, and then we'll just have audio.
All right, cool. Was that better?
Yep, that's better. That's great.
Okay, cool. Yeah, community is the second layer, and that's enabled by the technology we put on the kid's learning device. It can be used interchangeably by the school and by the parent. We're the only provider that does that in the world. And then the final layer of our business is the premium parental controls. It's where a parent chooses to activate that technology after school for a fee, so they can get their kids to sleep at night. They can make sure their kids, not on social media or being bullied or accessing adult material or so on. So 3 layers in our business. The concentration at the moment is really on that layer 1 in the US, and the layer 2, the community piece, is what we've been piloting in Australia and New Zealand. That's been doing really, really well. Okay, so that's the background, that's the business. So let's talk about coronavirus and what that means. So obviously across the globe, somewhat in Australia, now in New Zealand, across the board in the US, schools are closing. And schools, not unlike businesses, have legal obligations to make sure the environment is safe for their employees or their students. And those duties extend beyond the school into the home. So if you're instructing kids at home, then schools have legal obligations to keep kids safe. So schools at the moment across the world are really grappling with this. They're beyond the stuff that we deal with, they're grappling with how do I deliver remote instruction, how to deliver online classes with learning management systems. Not all schools would have those. There's also a challenge of equity in education. In the Catholic system here, they have to provide online learning to all students. They can't do it selectively or only for those kids that can have, can afford computers. They have a requirement for equity. In the US, that translates into things like food delivery. But the schools are obliged to provide food for the students in these school districts, and unless they can do that, they can't even get into the education side. So schools are grappling with these issues, and we're dealing with a heap of that. We're dealing with schools coming to us in urgent need of duty of care solutions, classroom type tools, just seeking advice. It's an enormously busy time in our business across all of our markets. From a strategic perspective, it's accelerating a trend for what we've been hanging on about for a long time, which is the ability to put technology on a device that can support the needs of the school, the teacher, and the parent, really anywhere that device is. It should be able to be a learning device. So that's the current state of play. And so, as I kind of suggested then, it's really highlighting the proposition of Family Zone and how uniquely suited to this issue. So let's explain what we do. We have a platform that supports all devices, Chromebooks, PCs, Macs, doesn't matter. You can put technology on that device that allows a school to exercise its duty of care, which is that second box. So if you're running our Family Zone technology, the school has complete visibility, complete control of those devices. And the third box is the classroom tool. So once Family Zone is running on those devices, a teacher of a Family Zone classroom, a kid can be sitting at home. The teacher can see what's on their screen. They can open up tabs, close tabs, send messages, focus a class. They have complete control. And then the final piece of the puzzle is what we call community, which is the ability for parents to use that same technology for their needs at home. So as you can imagine, coronavirus, home instruction, legal obligations to keep kids safe wherever they are is really playing out to Family Zone's advantage. It's demonstrating what we've been talking about for a long time as what's fundamentally needed. Sadly, in the US school systems are way more advanced than Australia and New Zealand, but in all markets, we're getting an enormous rate of activity because of this. So in the USA, there's a scramble for remote learning. School admins are staying at work. So I'm sure everyone's interested to see what's the implications of this for our business short term. Well, school admins are still engaged, still at work. The contract cycle for US education is typically starting now, kind of into July. That's all still happening. Schools are reviewing contracts. They're looking at providers, and there's now certainly an expectation that providers can offer tools that support remote learning and remote duty of care. Where it's, as I said, really busy time. We're getting some deals that come to us. Literally, we get the lead and convert that lead into a signed contract and a delivered solution inside 24 hours. We've had a number of those happen over the last couple of weeks. Definitely getting some schools that are in such a panic that they're downing tools. So it's a complex situation with tons of things happening, but overall, sales are growing really well. We're on track to hit the biggest ever quarter we've had in the US.
Sorry, Tim, we're just getting a little bit of feedback just with the headphones. Is it possible just to pull them out and just try that?
I'll try.
Can you hear me okay?
That is much better.
Oh, cool. Okay, cool. All right, and so the other important point of the US market is it's, as I said in the previous slide, it's confirming the fundamentals, this fundamental requirement for schools to have technology that supports what I guess now we're all talking about as the new normal, right? How we're interacting today online, that's the future of education. So this will become now a tick box in any contract in the US. We're absolutely clear on that. In Australia and New Zealand, the duty of care obligations to keep kids safe in remote learning is actually codified in a number of places, so it's very clear. Unfortunately, Australian schools are very much behind the eight ball, and it's really only the big private schools and to a lesser extent some of the independents and Catholic schools that have got the capability to deal with this challenge effectively. We put out an offer, recognising this, we put out an offer in the last couple of weeks to enable our duty of care solution. So cloud-based filtering applications installed on the kid's device that allows the school to control that device when that device is at home. And the interest from that has been remarkable. Like 200 leads related to about 200 schools in the first week. And we'd probably get 5 to 10 leads a week. So it's been unbelievable. And one of those leads turned into 86 school deployment in one day. So it's definitely resonating. This issue, the lack of preparation for schools to deal with this remote learning challenge, or what we have previously been describing as mobility, is really disappointing. But it's opening us up to these quite remarkable conversations across schools across Australia and New Zealand. Huge amount of sales, daily additions of new sales in New Zealand, and some big deals that we're working on in both Australia and New Zealand. So it's our time, sadly, in the sun. And so what next? So I've said a couple of times now that there's some fundamentals now that have been identified through coronavirus. Like duty of care is now clear. Schools are now recognising that they have a duty of care no matter where those devices are. Schools have to be able to support online learning. It's no longer nice to have. I'm sure by this time next year, every single school in Australia will either have or have plans to make sure they're capable to do online learning, including the ability to make sure those users are safe no matter where they are. We see it's a bit more technical than probably needed in this session, but some big technical choices, different technical choices that schools need to make. I think Australia and New Zealand will start to follow some of the models used elsewhere, particularly in the US. And one of the other things it's an established trend. It's about educating the kids, educating the parent community on cyber safety. I think you'll see more of that in the future. And all of those 4 elements is really what's unique about Family Zone. That's what we're about. And it's kind of why we've been so successful in recent times, and our growth in the US is because we talk about those 4 points. So again, coronavirus is really playing straight into what we've been talking about for a long time. So what next? So we are, with the benefit now of the market validation of what we're about. It's about delivering into that as quickly as we can across all the markets. But again, the ultimate prize is to solve the problems of the school communities. And really the point of this slide is to highlight that there's 83 million families in the US in particular, the majority of which don't have proper or adequate controls outside of school time, and that represents an addressable opportunity of about $6 billion per year. And we don't see any competitor in the market that is even attempting to address that. So this is a huge opportunity and validation of our fundamental proposition in schools and school communities, and it's opening us up to this huge opportunity in the coming years in the US in particular. So that's really my presentation. There's some other stuff here about and the executives and so on. That's really the bulk of my presentation. I'll leave it to questions.
So Tim, the first question is here about your cash position and plans to keep it level or cash flow to positive. Will that require raising, or are you covered?
Yeah, good question. So look, at the moment we're working on a number of working with a number of potential strategic investors to help us ensure that we can take advantage of these short-term opportunities. So look, there's no plans currently to kind of walk up and down Collins Street chasing money, if that's what people are worried about. But there is definitely an enormous amount of opportunity in our business, and there's probably a little bit of uncertainty in terms of timings of cash flows. I've got no doubt that we'll have some very big quarters coming, and we're set for massive quarters into 2021. But yeah, there's no immediate plans to chase money, if that's what you're worried about. How long do you break even? Question again. Look, we're working hard to do that, as everyone knows. We've been cutting costs. A lot of our staff now, including our chairman, receive shares and not cash, so that's something that we're working very hard to do. It's hard to give guidance on that, but yes, stay tuned.
We'll just wait one more minute for some more questions to come through, and then if not, we'll wrap up. It's been nice and punchy.
I know some people have asked some questions about what's all this massive amount of activity mean for our platforms and scaling up and how we're supporting it. And look, it is challenging. We've spent probably half of engineers have spent the whole week just making sure our platform can scale to deal with the massive volume that's come through. We've added, just as an example, earlier this week, we added 14,000 devices in Australia in one day to our platform. Those devices are now used at home. Parents need parental controls, they need support. So the volume of transactions coming through our system has flown. So we've been investing in making sure we can scale. Our support queues have never been busier. We feel like we're on top of it. But yeah, super busy time, and we need to make sure that this important time in our life, right, this massive validation opportunity, we want to deliver great service, great experience for these new clients that come on board so that we can springboard from here.
Next question, can you talk about some of the results achieved through the telco channel?
Yeah, so to be honest, I've spent most of my time thinking about schools in the last couple of weeks, but the Insights launch, or SAFE, that was launched in Telco Results, has been really good. We signed up, I think it was 25,000 services in the first month. In the second month, it was more than that. So it's a really interesting part of our business. But at the moment, to be honest, we're so consumed by dealing with all these schools. And look, I think we need to. I think the opportunity and the real revenue that we can get from these schools is where we need to focus. So pretty much trying to focusing all of our time on the education market at the moment.
Next question will be further guidance on rollout strategies for the telcos.
Look, we've got to focus on the schools. There's plenty we could do there. There's plenty of telcos that are super interested in having cyber safety inside their offering. But, we're still a small business. We've got limited resources, and I can sign up, a school, deploy into 30,000 devices in a day and turn that into, $50,000 to $100,000 of revenue. The stuff through the telcos is super strategic and important, but it doesn't turn into immediate revenue. So these are the challenges. These are the kind of priority decisions that we're making at the moment in business.
And finally, can you speak about the 86 schools in one day? Is the pipeline as big as that?
Yeah, so look, that's an association of schools. It was amazing, actually. They came to us and sought a demo on the Monday morning, and by the afternoon they were live with 14,000 devices. It really demonstrates what we're capable of doing. Solving a school's duty of care needs, enabling teachers to have full visibility of what those kids are doing during class time, and enabling parents to control those devices after school. Like, we could do that for 14,000 devices in 20 minutes. It's pretty amazing. And that client has been blown away, and that client is, we're hoping that client will start promoting that as an opportunity to kind of similar school associations across the country. You'll see more of that for our business going forward. Schools being amazed about what's possible. I think a lot of schools didn't even know that what we can do is even available, which has surprised me. So the market will hear more about deals like that coming in the coming months.
And just a couple of questions have just come in on the email. How's the wholesale channel developing in Asia, and much more spend on tech development?
That's the telco question. Yeah, look, the telco business, again, it's potentially massive, and we've got tens of thousands of customers in Indonesia in particular. We're just managing our priorities at the moment, and school sales has just ignited, so we're trying to focus our resources on there.
All good. I think can you talk to how many USA schools you were talking to in the last 2 weeks?
Oh, actually, I wouldn't know. It's so busy. I actually don't have the answer to that off the top of my head. I wouldn't want to guess.
A lot.
Yeah, it's crazy.
All good. Awesome. We'll finish up there, Tim. If there's any other questions,
I think there's one more question about pricing. Will pricing the school channel? That's a really interesting question. There is essentially three levels of product in education. It's the basic compliance piece, which is we're kind of middle market there. You've then got these classroom tools, which allow you to increase your prices by between 50 and 100%. We've rolled out pretty amazing technology there. We call it Classwize, which was recently announced. And then the next layer of product, which kind of allows you to increase your prices to that extent again, is what we in our business describe as well-being tools. So it's the tools that allow you to be alerted if your students suspect of suicidal ideation or mental health. We're seeing plenty of opportunity to grow unit prices in the US. And remember also with the Australian dollar trading at 60 cents, like the value in that for us has been remarkable. So as we pivot and focus our time on the US, the cash flow opportunity of the US is huge. On one other point that's really important for investors to understand, in the US, the school systems are very comfortable with multi-year contracts up front. We'd expect in the order of 30 to 40% of our contracts to be paid like that. So the cash flow benefit of us focusing on the US is really important.
Awesome. I think unless anyone has any other questions, we'll take them on notice on the email, which everyone has. Tim, thanks so much. Know that you're well and truly under the pump, which is a good thing from the business perspective. But thanks very much for taking the time to present.
Thanks for everyone for listening. See you soon.
Thanks very much.